I wasn't intoxicated. I wasn't unsure. I knew perfectly well what was happening when his hand grazed the back of my thigh. And I didn't stop it. My best friend's father, Calvin, knelt behind me, his breath warm and deliberate against my skin. He wasn't hurried, not like a man chasing lust. He was measured, purposeful. "Let me take care of you," he murmured. And somehow, in that instant, everything shifted. I should have moved, should have spoken up. But I just stayed there, heart hammering, lips slightly parted, heat creeping along my spine, while a man twice my age touched me as if I weren't my friend's daughter, but someone he had long desired. The air hung heavy with his cologne. The door was locked. The study was dim, silent, save for our breaths. By the time his mouth reached the inside of my thigh, I already knew there was no turning back. But I didn't yet realize this wouldn't be a simple mistake. It would be the act that reshaped everything. Lifted me, tore me open, and eventually broke me apart. My name is Sarah. I was 23 when it began. Not some reckless teen. Not someone chasing chaos. Just exhausted. Tired of pretending everything was fine. Tired of smiling through overdraft warnings and empty cupboards. I had just dropped out of nursing school. Couldn't afford the last semester. Couldn't keep pretending the grind was noble when it only brought anxiety and late fees. Most nights I worked the late shift at a greasy diner off Highway 280. Birmingham, Alabama. Coffee pots older than me, a worn apron, and a boss who treated my tips like his own. When I wasn't working, I crashed on a mattress in Terry's spare room. Terry, my best friend since high school, was everything I wasn't. Bold, magnetic, effortlessly confident. She had casual wealth that required no explanation. New cars, a private lake house, designer everything. Her father, Calvin, owned 3 car dealerships and a property portfolio big enough to get him invited to country club galas he rarely attended. Calvin was always more restrained. Silver hair, dark eyes that didn't just glance at you, but seemed to see inside you. A suit-wearing man who seldom raised his voice yet never had to. When his wife, Terry's mom, died of cancer, something changed in him. Not cold, quiet. As if something inside had broken, but he kept every piece neatly aligned. That's how he was. The night he found me crying on their back porch, barefoot, mascara running, clutching a rent notice I couldn't ignore, Terry blasting music inside, Calvin walked out with a beer, paused when he saw me and sat silently. No questions. No pity. Just his steady gaze. "You're drowning, Sarah. Let me throw you a rope." He paid my rent that month. No conditions. A folded envelope on the porch swing the next morning, my name written neatly across it. I told myself it was kindness, that he recognized how hard I was trying. But the next month, when another notice arrived, he offered again, this time in person. "You shouldn't fight so hard to survive," he said, sliding the check across the counter. "Not when help is right here." Then came the car, an older model, a trade-in from his lot. Still ran like a dream, faintly scented with leather and pine. Then a job front desk at his office. Better hours, steady pay, air conditioning. Each act felt like rescue. Each gesture seemed into the next until I couldn't distinguish generosity from dependence. I told Terry about the car, the job. She thought it sweet. "Your dad's always had a soft spot for you. You're like a second daughter." She laughed. But the word responsible made me flinch. One late night, after everyone had left the office, I was organizing invoices in his study, the one with the heavy door and expensive silence. I dropped a pen, bent to retrieve it. When I stood, he was right behind me. His breath brushed my neck. "You're beautiful, Sarah," he said softly. It wasn't the words, it was the weight behind them, like he'd been holding back for years. I froze, hands trembling slightly with the pen still in hand. He touched my waist, gentle, deliberate. I didn't pull away. Leaned back. I let it happen. I told myself it was a slip, a moment. But his hands moved with measured confidence. Deliberate, not accidental. Fingers tracing beneath my dress as though he had every right. And I let him. Let him unbutton me. Let him undress me. Let him see parts of me untouched in years, Not since a college boyfriend who loved the idea of me more than the real me. But this felt different. Calvin didn't fumble, didn't ask. He acted as if he already knew what I needed. When he kissed the inside of my thigh, I nearly gasped. Not rough, not fast. Careful, reverent, as though awakening something inside me buried beneath shame and exhaustion. The study stayed quiet. Golden light from the lamp cast long shadows across shelves. I forgot how to breathe. Guilt tugged at my mind, but the way his mouth moved, the way his hands held me steady, it silenced everything. When it ended, he kissed my knee and stood silently. I pulled my dress back on, hands shaking, but I didn't feel dirty. Felt claimed. And for reasons I couldn't admit, I liked it. I told myself it was one night, a secret between shadows. But the next morning he texted, "Come by the lake house. Just us. No questions. No apology." I obeyed. The key waited under the flower pot. Inside, fresh linens, a robe that fit perfectly, and a jasmine wood candle. He didn't rush. He watched me with quiet certainty, like it was inevitable. When he touched me in daylight, it felt riskier. Not wrong, but so right. One night turned into weekends, envelopes with money, school loans paid, perfume, shoes, even a phone. Every gesture whispered, "You're mine." And I gave him everything. Not just my body, but my hidden parts, loneliness, fear, desire to be seen. Terry had no idea. She assumed he was helping me. She joked once, "You're like his favorite. I should be jealous." I laughed. But it felt like swallowing glass. If she ever knew what he had claimed, there would be no laughter, no forgiveness. First secrecy was thrilling. We stole hours in silence. Touched without consequence. We pretended the outside world didn't exist. But slowly it did. Calvin began to change. His touch no longer soothed, it tightened. He started asking who I texted, why I was still hanging out with Terry, why I needed anyone besides him. "Keep your distance," he said one night, stroking my hair as I curled against his chest. "She asks too many questions." I laughed nervously, trying to lighten the moment, but he didn't smile. The next week Terry noticed. "You've been acting weird," she said. "Like you're hiding something. Are you seeing someone?" I lied. Told her I was exhausted. School and work, that's all I had time for. She hugged me, teased me. "You better not be sleeping with my dad or something," she joked. And for a moment I couldn't breathe. She had no idea. But just hearing it aloud made my stomach turn. That night I told Calvin we needed to slow down. He didn't argue. Didn't shout. He just stared long and cold. "After everything I've done for you," he said quietly, "this is how you repay me?" His voice was smooth, but something beneath it coiled tight. Then he pulled a small box from his pocket. Opened it. A diamond bracelet. He clasped it on my wrist like a lock. "You don't walk away from me, Sarah." And I didn't. I stayed. Even when every part of me screamed to run. It was Terry's idea. "Just the three of us," she said, like old times. I hadn't seen her in weeks. I kept dodging calls, invites, questions. Calvin warned me not to go. Too risky, he said. But I knew if I avoided her again, she'd press harder. So I went. Loose sweater, minimal makeup. Act normal, I told myself. But my hands trembled the moment I stepped inside. Calvin sat at the head of the table, calm, collected, as if I were just another guest. He poured wine, made polite conversation, but under the table, his foot slid up my leg. Froze. Terry chattered about some guy at work, oblivious. Calvin didn't glance at me. Just rubbed his toes against my thigh while she laughed and told stories. Felt sick. Fork shaking, smile plastered, heart hammering. Then she said it. "Dad, remember that night Sarah helped you with paperwork? You two worked late. What were you working on again?" Time stopped. Mouth dry. Ears ringing. Calvin didn't flinch. "Just bills and tax papers," he said smoothly, sipping wine. His eyes locked mine. Dark, tight, a warning hidden in calm. The robe he kept for me clung to damp skin. His cologne lingered in my hair. The bracelet sparkled as I dried off in the mirror. I should have felt powerful, desired, wanted. But I felt hollow. Calvin was in the next room, half-dressed, scrolling emails, acting like we were normal, like this could last. I opened my mouth to speak, to say I couldn't do this anymore, when my phone buzzed. "Terry, we need to talk. Now." Froze. Before I could respond, it rang. Her name twisted my stomach. Answered. Her voice raw, tight. I went through my dad's phone. I saw the messages, the hotel receipts, the pictures. "You were in his bed, Kim." Silence. No excuse, no denial. She breathed sharply. "You were my best friend, my sister, and you were sleeping with my dad." She hung up. Just like that, everything was gone. That was the last time Terry spoke to me. She blocked my number, deleted old pictures, posted vague messages online that spread like wildfire through our friend circle. Whispers turned into screenshots. Secrets became judgment. I lost her. Not just her. Friends stopped replying. Work dried up. Even the diner manager, who barely noticed my double shifts, started looking through me as if I were contagious. I went from being someone's guest to being no one's anything. And Calvin, he shifted too. No yelling. No defending me. Just stepping back. "We need space," he said. "I have to protect my image." The money stopped. Gifts stopped. No more weekends at the lake house. No soft words in the dark. Just silence. I had become a liability. Maybe I always was. I sat in the apartment I could no longer afford, scrolling job listings, the bracelet cold on my wrist. I wanted to hate him, but mostly I hated myself. Not for what I did, but for staying, for needing, for believing his touch meant I mattered. Rock bottom wasn't dramatic. It was a Tuesday. Back at the diner, I didn't wonder what he thought. Didn't imagine what I'd say if we crossed paths. No words undo a betrayal. No speech restores trust. Terry moved on. Atlanta now, from what I heard. She doesn't speak of me, and I don't blame her. Sometimes forgiveness isn't possible. Sometimes the best apology is becoming someone who wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. And I have. So here's what I'll leave you with. If someone offers everything, money, affection, a way out, but demands silence, ask yourself what they're really buying and what you're truly selling. Sometimes the cost isn't your body, it's your voice, friendships, sense of self. I'm not proud of what I did. But I'm no longer ashamed of who I've become. Because this story isn't really about Calvin. It's about the girl I was, and the woman I had to become after it all fell apart. Maybe someone out there needed to hear this. Maybe you've made mistakes, stayed too long with someone who made you feel needed instead of loved. If that's you, I see you. You're not alone. And if you're still in the middle of it, trying to claw your way out, don't wait for a hand. Build your own ladder. One boundary, one truth, one honest breath at a time. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated, leave a comment. No shame, just truth. And if you haven't subscribed, now's a good time because we all have stories. This one happened to be mine.